Hey everybody, welcome to another video review. So this is sort of like a new low for me in terms of how bad and how unprofessional I can make these videos. So let me explain. So first of all, the piece that I want to review today is a Narin Predator, and it's called King Skull Valdezz. Okay. And I've had this for quite a number of years. This was painted by the great Joe Dunaway, who I have painted most of my Predator, I think actually all of my Predator pieces. Now I'm filming him in my closet, master bedroom closet, because believe it or not, this is where I keep a lot of my Narin Predators. I love the Narin Dunaway Predators so much. I have them on these like shelves in my closet, so I look at them every time I dress in the morning. Now, I have had a few people who are big Predator fans sort of request that I do more of them, and I wanted to do that. But the thing about these Narin Predators, especially the way Joe builds them, is they're kind of like modular. He hides the seam lines incredibly well, but I don't glue them, and so they're sometimes a little bit loose. I don't know, and I also kind of forget where the joins are because I have so many. And so in order to do like a review, normally I would have to take it from my master bedroom closet upstairs, take it all the way downstairs to the kitchen and do it. And number one, it's kind of risky. And number two, I'm kind of lazy. And so I realized I just have this little old dresser and the background is white. And I've decided just, instead of doing the whole taking it downstairs, upstairs thing, I'm just going to put it on the little dresser and just talk about it. I think you ought to be able to get a pretty good idea of what he looks like and still appreciate, some of the paint, and the lighting in the closet is actually really good. There's like, I think 8, pretty bright LED light bulbs. And so I think you will get a decent enough, picture of this piece. So I do, though, apologize for the background, which is a little bit distracting, maybe a little bit ghetto. They have all my clothes and all this other stuff, okay? So anyways, let's start. This is King Skull Valdezz, and Narin always gives these Predators these odd names. He's from Thailand, and so I don't know where he gets them. Luckily, we don't care too much about that, but it's a awesome Predator. Very interesting design because it's sort of him, on this I guess this base of different skulls, and he's sort of posing and then roaring with his face up at the sky. So it's a great pose, but the problem with this is that you can't really appreciate it if you display him up. He kind of has to be displayed in this very unique way in order for you to actually appreciate the face and stuff. So anyways, I'm going to turn him a little bit. He looks fantastic in profile view. This is like almost reminiscent of, I think, the pose when the Arnold strikes, at the end of the Predator 1 movie, except this time, of course, it's the Predator who's doing it. So I'm sort of turning him around so you kind of get this nice panoramic view of what he looks like. So here's the back. And of course, Joe can always be counted on to sort of plus his, build-ups. And so he always, does a fantastic job adding these chains and teeth and all of this stuff to make it, so amazing. I think this might have been the first King Skull Valdezz that Joe Dunaway did. I tend to buy these pieces from Narin as soon as he releases them. And then I send them to Joe, and if I'm lucky, I'm usually the first one he does a paint up on. And all of his paint ups are great. Sometimes he adds other little touches as he does a few more of them. But there is something cool to being like the first person that Joe builds a new Narin kit for. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look now at some of the close-ups. So the first shot obviously should be to look at his beautiful head. So here is the classic Narin Predator face, brought to life by Joe Dunaway. Again, look at all of the scars on his crown, all of the beautiful, subtle, spots. He is a little bit dusty, unfortunately. I haven't had him for many years. Eventually, what I do is sometimes I do clean them with a Q-tip, with a little bit of a wet Q-tip. But I'm going to go real close. I'm going to try to blow a little bit. There you go. Blow a little of that dust away. So you can see kind of the layering, the shades. A Joe Dunaway paint job can always withstand a macro shot from literally an inch away. The closer you get, the more beautiful the paint job is, the more layered you can see it. Like he does so many layers with his airbrush. So you can see the beautiful spots and the patterning, and you can kind of get a feel for the depth of the paint job. His paint jobs always make you feel like there's something underneath, like it's very organic. And that's why, again, I feel like nobody quite does a Predator paint up quite like him. So very nice, unique face. You have the tiny, small beady eyes. And then, of course, he does a great job with the veining, the arteries, very subtle and glistening. And then the fangs open. And you can see the necklace, which is a bone necklace. So King Skull Valdezz is very much heavy in bones, bone motif. So huge necklace, almost like a collar of bones. Okay. And then let's take a look at all the quills. Joe, I love quills, and so Joe, gives me what I love. You see all of these beautiful porcupine quills, and they're soft. They're not rigid. So as you can see, it doesn't break very easily. They bend, so that's pretty nice. Same thing with the quills, as you can see on the crown. And then the quills all the way along the chest as well. And you can see the little tiny detailed veins. That's a staple of a Dunaway Predator paint job. He does a lot of that. And of course, he brings out the beautiful scars all across this guy's body. And then the big skull here. This is all metal here. How they can move is added. These are all the pluses that Joe puts into this paint job. And then all throughout, you can see the little tiny, all the work with the patterning of the spots. Okay, so here you go here. And you can, of course, see the fantastic job he did with the gunmetal. And then even the little tiny veins on the legs, the scars, all of that, all the way down to the feet. Look at the amazing detail that Narin puts, and then Joe just sort of brings it to life. And try to give you a little bit more detail on the feet and the boots and the ankles. Look at that. Look at the rope and the gunmetal. Very, very beautiful. And then, of course, a base filled with skulls, both human, alligator. This looks like a dinosaur. That's why I guess they call him King Skull Valdezz. He's like, I guess in my mind I always think of this Predator as my glove ripped a little bit. I think of this Predator as like a gladiatorial Predator. You can see the dust here that I haven't dusted in a long time. So look at all the skulls. So I just see that, I think of this as like a gladiatorial Predator, and then just on the floor of the Colosseum or some other type of Colosseum roaring his triumph. And then here's his huge battle axe. Again, look at the gunmetal detailing here, beautiful. And then the chains. These are all added by Joe, by the way. They don't come with the kit. He's so imaginative with what he puts. The double chain, and the tooth, and then chains all throughout here and here. The chains over here, they're just kind of hanging from his body and his armor. Look at the chains here. And then kind of looking at the back, all that detail. It's hard to get the back because he's arching, but hopefully get an appreciation again of the work necessary. And then, of course, we're going to get to his quills. So here's the arm. So yeah, this is what separates a Dunaway paint job from any other paint job is look at how close I am to him and it just stands up. You know, like I'm literally within 2 inches, but it just gets better and better. And hopefully you can appreciate that through the camera. There's enough light. You can see the veining, all of that. And he's pockmarked with scars. And of course, let's get to the dreads. Each dread is sculpted individually built with loving attention by Joe. And then, plussed with all these, again, chains, metal, rings, all of that. Look at that. So much work. So yeah, each dread is painted and placed separately. So you can kind of get an idea of all those dreads. Just a beautiful, beautiful kit. And of course, a legendary build-up. So again, you can go close, you can go far. It looks good no matter what you do. So trying to get this view and showcasing him moving around a little bit. He hasn't done too many King Skull Valdezzes. You know, I mean, he's done like 20 death. Is it Death Dealers? Death Warrior, I think. He's done 20 Death Warriors, but King Skull Valdezz is not quite as popular as that. For whatever reason. I think it's because it is a little bit awkward to pose, a little bit awkward to display, because, you know, this is really where you want to see him, kind of like that. Let me back up a little bit. There you go. He's 1/6 scale. Narin does mainly 1/6 scale work. And this came out before the XM Predator. So for those of us who's been collecting Narin for a long, long time, you know, the XM version wasn't something that got us too excited, because as you can see, it's just a riff on a pose and on a type of Predator that he's done many, many times, you know, and I think to better effect. It was just bigger, which, you know, translates to heavier and larger and more expensive to ship and all of that. More difficult to display. So this is the original, you know, this is the King Skull Valdezz original. It seems like the XM Predator is almost like the, you know, kind of like the next iteration. Yeah, so a little bit of high definition video for you. And again, that's how you know he's one of the best Predator, in my opinion, the best Predator artist in the world, is because no matter how close you get, it just makes it look better. You know, look at that detail. It just holds up, you know, it really holds up. I say this in every Joe Dunaway video, but I haven't reviewed one in a while, but you just kind of marvel at it. It's almost like the high definition camera like reveals more than the human eye can even appreciate as it focuses. See that? Put the blue glove behind it, and the camera focuses it. Gotta be very careful where I turn him, because I don't want him to, like, you know, obviously fall apart. Look at the hands. Look at the wrist metal. I don't even know what to call these. Look at the metal effect right here. Just stunning. It's like metal, and then this is like bone right here, you know. So yeah, hopefully you'll forgive me for being lazy and you know, putting him in the closet, so to speak, doing my review. But it really saves me a lot of like hassle, a lot of stress, you know, moving him up and down. I mean, eventually I'm going to get him out of the closet, obviously, and put him in a display cabinet, but that's something that has to wait. Yeah, a tricky piece to display, because again, when you go level, he looks like this. And I have him displayed kind of like that. All right, there you go. King Skull Valdezz, sculpted by the incomparable Narin and painted by the legend Joe Dunaway. Until next time, do take care.